Hello, everyone, and welcome to ProLine, direct from Las Vegas, the gaming capital of the world. Week 4 of the NFL preseason. I'm John Cranton, joined by longtime Vegas handicapper Hollis Harvard Barnhart. Hollis, you must have the longest name of any Vegas handicapper I know. Which name do you prefer?
Well, most people call me Hollis. That nickname Harvard came from some of the business school that I went to years and years and years ago. In fact, I don't know if you know this, but, not that anybody cares, but, our family came over on the Mayflower. And John Harvard's one of our family. He came over in 1624, 4 years after we landed. And in 1632, I believe he gave all his books. He had the most books in Cambridge. He gave them to Cambridge College at that time, so they renamed the school to Harvard University. He died in 1636 or 1637, and there's actually, if you go to the campus, you'll see Hollis Hall, Hollis Dorm, Hollis Library, and hence Hollis Harvard Barnhart. So that's where that came from.
From the Mayflower right to Las Vegas. A nice segue. We're going to be looking at some of the upcoming games for Week 4 of the NFL preseason. We also got the Clemson-Georgia showdown on Saturday, as well as some thoughts on some surprise NFL teams. Before we get to that, let's tell you what's going on with us. Jim Fice on a 15-9 football run. That's NFL and Canadian Football League run. In fact, last Saturday, 7-3 with all plays on Saturday. And for this weekend, Jim has an SEC TV total crusher going Thursday. It's a big SEC TV game. He also has a 3-team college power parlay, 3 games for the price of 1. Both those plays are Thursday. And on Friday, he's got his college football rivalry game of the month. All 3 of those packages are available for $25 a piece at jimfice.com. And Harvard, you've been cashing tickets in August, filling your pockets with cash, a sizzling 14-3 run with all plays. You also have a football handicapping class that starts soon. How can folks get aboard the winning with you?
Well, first of all, I think it's 14-3 is around 83%. And I really think what happened was, I took off during June and July for the World Series of Poker. Played quite a few cash games and a lot of tournaments over there, and it must have cleared my head because I came out August the 1st. I've only played 17 games, through the 25th of August, and 14-3 was quite remarkable. I hate any loser. I'm coming off a loser, and I got a winner coming up this Saturday. It's going to be my college opening week mismatch of the opening week, and I'll tell you why. The point spreads, the odds makers, they do a lot of stuff with the lines, the teammates that were coming back from last year. They do some adjustment for people that have graduated and then a lot of red shirts and incoming freshmen and things like that. But they've got one game that's coming out this Saturday that they've totally missed the line on, and I'm going to focus on that. I like to focus on one huge game, something that if you're a nickel or dime player, you can really step out and just land that one game and then maybe put it with some of Jim's other games and things like that. You might even find a little parlay or teaser or something like that. Not that I'm a proponent of that. I like to just fire one huge play. And that game will be up for you probably by Thursday, so you can get it before the line changes. Keep in mind, though, if you're betting an underdog, which this will be, you want to go ahead and wait till the last possible minute. If you're playing favorites, you bet them early. If you're playing underdogs, play it, 20, 30 minutes before game time, and you usually pick up an extra 1.5 points normally. But opening week, you might even pick up 2, 3, 4 points as that line will be moving.
That's right. It's all about grinding out a profit. And if you want to go to Jim Fice's website, see that football helmet in the lower left? That is a link to jimfice.com. Just click on that. There's a handicapper link at the top of the page. You'll find Jim, Harvard, Las Vegas Sports Services, Mr. Vegas, and more. All right, let's get into our first Twitter question of the week. This is how you out there get involved. If you want to ask anyone on the ProLine panel a question, just go to Twitter at Jim Fice Sports or Facebook at ProLine TV. This week's question comes from Greg Jones of Asherton, Texas. Any surprise NFL teams that you will see slide over the Vegas projected win total? Well, Professor Harvard, you have the opening honor.
Well, first of all, I like to go to a weak division. There's no one weaker than the AFC South. It's not too hard to imagine getting into, at least you have to get into the playoffs. And by doing that, you have to have a lot of wins within your division because you're playing each other. Well, I look to the Houston Texans First of all, their only competition is Indianapolis, and if they can split there, no big deal. Tennessee, you know what you're going to get there. However, Jacksonville, you do know what you're going to get. I also am just absolutely shocked of the turnaround that they had since they went 12-4. It seems like just 2 years ago, and they were a shoe-in to the playoffs. And then last year, they had that fiasco with Matt Schaub. Well, they replaced that with one of my alumnus, Ryan Fitzgerald, and I think that this guy, Fitzpatrick, I think that he can take them all the way through. Their defense is there, their offensive wingmen are there, running backs are there, everything's there. They got rid of the coach. I just really look for them to go over 7.5 for the Vegas number.
I'm going to take a look at the same division, the Jacksonville Jaguars. A handicapping expert that I talked to a year ago actually had the Jaguars to go over last year's projected total, and it didn't quite get there, but I think he was 1 year off because I'm not going to give up on that. But first of all, it's a very good defense, excellent linebacking core anchored by Paul Posluszny and Geno Hayes. Two of their top three tacklers are back. The offense has been the major problem the last couple of years, but the pickup of Blake Bortles certainly upgrades that position. It was a very good pick. And then finally, the win total is 5. The Vegas win total for the Jaguars 5. And look at their schedule. They're going to be facing the Tennessee Titans twice, the Redskins, Giants, Ravens, Texans twice, Browns, Dolphins, and Cowboys. I think the Texans in that group are actually going to be an improved team, but those other teams represent 8 games on the schedule that are certainly winnable, and the Vegas projected win total is only 5. So I think the Jaguars are going to be more improved than a lot of people think. It's certainly over that total of 5 numbers. 5 wins for the season. All right, let's get into our first game. NFL preseason week 4 goes on Thursday. Get the Bears a 2-1 record. The Browns winless. They'll be at home. Cleveland opened a 3-point favorite. Harvard, it's now up to 5, total of 42.5, down to 42. You know, this is Mark Trestman, Chicago Bears coach, hasn't been very good in preseason. 2-4-1 against the spread. He is 4-3 over the total with a very good imaginative offensive mind, although we haven't seen that offensive lately. 2 weeks ago, they beat the Jaguars 20-19. And last week they went to Seattle and they got absolutely crushed. 6 points, 270 total yards. They got ripped, and they were only 3 of 11 on third down. Still, I like this backup quarterback rotation, Jimmy Clausen and David Fales. I'm surprised they're a big dog here against a Cleveland team that has shown nothing. And with respect to the Browns, you know the old football joke, Harvard. If you don't have two, if you're going to go with 2 quarterbacks, maybe you really don't have one. So what's up there with the Browns?
Well, I agree somewhat, but, I love this quarterback race. I guess everybody does because they're very interested in Johnny football. And it seemed to me, though, like the last 2 years, all the components other than quarterback were there for the Browns. I mean, their offensive line was good. The defense was not so bad. The fans are fantastic. I don't understand what happened with that team, but I like to see this little rally around Cleveland and all that. But going into this game, look at what the Bears have done. They're on a huge momentum swing. They were down 34-0 and scored the last 6 points. I mean, you can't downgrade something like that. I also agree that Jimmy Clausen, I love this quarterback. The fact that Jay Cutler and Brandon Marshall are not going to be playing, that would be alarming to some people. But let's put in a second team right on cut week that wants to go ahead and show their coach what they're doing. What a better way to do it than after a week after their main guys getting blown out 34-0 before they scored the final 6 points. So with a game like that, getting points, watching the line movement and everything, I'm going to be taking the Bears plus the 5 points.
Yeah, this Cleveland Browns team, winless on the year, it certainly has you start wondering about the new coaching staff that has taken over. Mike Pettin, 0-3, and they had that step-up game week 3 when the starters want to play their best. They were at home for the first time. The Rams, without their quarterback who got injured, just destroyed them 33-14, and it was even uglier than that. The Browns got outgained 472 to 178. The run defense, which actually is very good. I agree with you. The Browns were very good defensively and should be again this year. 142 yards rushing, 4.2 yards. And the offense had 2 turnovers. Brian Hoyer got sacked twice. So did Manziel, and they were 4 of 11 on third down. So a lot of major problems with this Browns team. I don't agree with them being such a big favorite here in week 5. I will also lean toward the underdog in this one. All right, let's go.
Well, one other thing, too. You know, their defense has allowed 70 points in 3 games. You know, what happened to that, dog defense that they used to have in the last couple of years? 70 points is a lot. And another thing, as far as coming to the spread, it seems like they've been playing to the level of their competition, let's say. Well, if you look at the fact that they've allowed 70 points, Chicago's allowed over 80 points in their 3 games. So it might be that you take a look at the over. The reason I'm not going to be looking at the over, 2 of the games that the Browns have played and have lost have been by 1 point. So it looks like, man, could this be a 1, 2, 3, 4 point game? And one of the worst numbers that the books put out is the number 5. When they have no idea what's going to happen, they'll throw it out at 5 and see where the money takes it. That's the only time I ever follow the money. I looked at a couple of the offshores today, and the line started to creep towards 4.5, showing some interest in the Chicago Bears money, and that's exactly where I'm going to hang my hat.
So it's unlikely to get to +6 on the Bears.
No.
Okay. And speaking of trends, you mentioned the Browns are 2-1 over the total in preseason, but their regular season defense has been so good the last 3 years. The Browns are actually on a 31-15-1 run under the total. Keep that in mind for September.